The Shift project, an Erasmus Plus funded project that has been running since December 2019, so for 2 years now. I welcome you all to this final event of the Shift project. I said it before, we officially started, unfortunately, online and not in person. We decided on that change in the last week, so it was a very, very short notice change. And my name is Ruth Jacobi. I'm one of the 2 Secretaries General of the European Music Council. All our Shift partners are here with us today, and Caroline will introduce them to you in a short moment. I will just share very briefly a few ideas, a few thoughts about the beginning of this project, which actually was born from exchanges between secretaries generals and directors from cultural networks, European cultural networks, who used to meet in person for a kind of retreat to exchange on topics of leading such cultural networks, topics that we share, concerns that we have, and we felt that we all lack in training. We all want to bring about change. We want to bring about training for our networks, and we were totally lacking training for ourselves. So we decided to design training for ourselves and to look at very specific topics, as for example, leading such a cultural network, leadership of cultural networks, but also looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, at least 3 of them. And these are the main ideas that made us design this project. And I'm very happy now to pass the word to Caroline to explain us a little bit more about what Shift actually is.
Thank you, Ruth, and a warm welcome from myself as well. I am, as Ruth said, the project officer of the European Music Council, and I've been working for the Shift project for the last years. And I will share my screen. Just give me a second. I hope you can all see it from the beginning as a full screen. If somebody can give me a, okay, good. This is we have a corporate design, and you will see that this is the same corporate in the same slides for all of the partners. But I will start with sharing you who is the Shift project. And this is a cooperation project of 9 partners. So I'll introduce you to them, which is European Choral Association, Transeuropal, MC, FACE, ELIA, International Music Council, ITM, On the Move, and ourselves as project coordinator, the European Music Council. And we are a project co-funded by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. And why we did this, it was, as Ruth explained a bit, because we came to we saw that we lack some tools and guidelines on how to tackle big issues big global issues in the world. And especially we decided that we needed some training to get more knowledge on specific topics, which we will share with you in a few minutes, and also to implement change, because we have seen that it's always difficult when you have your day-to-day work in a cultural organization or in an organization to really focus on more transversal topics, and that you don't have the time to really tackle and really create a change in your organization. And this is what we aim to do. And also, of course, as well, everything will be for free online, and we would like to share this knowledge, being networks with our members, but also with the broader cultural sector, and create synergies and cooperations. And hopefully a future is ahead of us in Shift. And so what we what is it about? We have looked at the Sustainable Development Goals, which are a blueprint from the United Nations. They were released in 2015, and it is kind of a to-do list for the world with 17 goals on how to create better societies. And there are different topics, and what we selected, because of obviously it's a lot of work to tackle all of these topics at the same time, we decided to focus on 3 of them. I think I went too fast, which are gender equality, Objective 5, Objective 10, reduce inequalities, and Objective 13, climate action. But we see a lot of synergies between these goals. For example, clean water is obviously related to climate action. So we hope that we can work on all the SDGs at the same time by focusing on 3 of them. And what we have done since December 2019 until now is creating some gathering some resources and creating some online manuals and guidelines on the 4 topics. And now you're wondering why I'm talking about 4. It is because we have decided to see the 3 gender reduced inequalities and environmental sustainability under the lens of cultural leadership, and how we can create change as being leaders, and how we can be the leaders of this change. And this is why we also have this as a topic, kind of a hat topic, being above, but also inside all of the other topics. And I will just quickly introduce you to the 4 topics, because I'm sure you're just waiting to hear from our partners. And so cultural leadership is led by Transeuropal, and Ferouz Tamimi will be our speaker today. And she has been working on the topic since a year now. And now we will also have on environmental sustainability, Elia has been leading the topic, and Maria Hansen will be our speaker today. And on gender and power relations, the topic leader was ITM, but they have worked in cooperation with many partners. Sorry, and Marie Le Sour will join Asa Richardsdottir. I'm sorry for maybe pronouncing not well your name, as speakers. And our final topic is reducing inequalities, and the topic leader was European Choral Association, and Sophie Dowden will let us introduce us to their work in the inclusion topic. And of course, all of the partners were part of this process, and even though there's a leader, it was a very cooperative work. And I'll just give the word now to my colleagues, but you can, of course, find all our resources for free on our SHIFT website, and also on the knowledge base website created by Transeuropal, artsmetric.com. And if you have any questions, please contact us, but I will let my colleagues now introduce you to their work. To give the word to Sophie from the European Choral Association, who will give a quick introduction on her topic, which is inclusion, a very large topic, as she will let you know. Thank you. The floor is yours, Sophie.
Thanks, Carolyn. Yes, it is certainly a huge topic, and so letting you into this for 15 minutes is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll see what we can do. The Sustainable Development Goal we're focusing on is reduced inequalities, which in itself is an enormous target and is broken down into all of these different ones here. We're mostly focusing there on 10.2, promoting universal social, economic, and political inclusion. And we also took the groups that we were looking at from the text of the target, where it speaks about inclusion of all, irrespective of age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status. In our work, actually, we have expanded that. We also include explicitly sexual orientation and gender identity, which we thought were missing from this. And in including all of these different groups, mostly the work is quite generalized, but there are also specific focuses on individual groups where it is relevant. So, for instance, there are a lot of accessibility issues that are highly important in relation to disability, especially, and so we did a bit of a focus on that. At the beginning of the project, we did a survey among all of the partners, and we were asking about their experience and their views on inclusion within their own work. And what we found was, well, no one deliberately wanted to be exclusive in any way. Everyone really wanted to increase inclusion in their work, but it wasn't necessarily terribly clear how to go about doing that. And as a result of that, we focused on these 5 headings. These are the headings that were in 2 different documents. Firstly, the Annotated Bibliography, which you've heard about a few of by now. Ours has 101 amazing resources on inclusion for you to enjoy. And the second is a handbook, which is taking a lot of the information that is already out there and applying it directly to the cultural sector in terms predominantly of cultural networks, but also of cultural organizations, and really tailoring it for our kind of work. And so we have the fundamental chapter on inclusive culture. That's as in workplace culture, the kind of culture among the group of people, which is the foundation of it all. And then looking inside the organization at its governance, at the people in it, at the policies and the processes. And thirdly, looking outside at our outwards facing activities in advocacy and projects. And then the final 2 chapters are pretty concrete on communications and on inclusive events. And Carolyn mentioned it's a big topic. Well, chapters 2 and 3 break down even further. Here is an overview for you. So we look at all sorts of different elements of our work, including the staff, the board, the interns and volunteers, training, meetings, membership, partners that we work with, all sorts of different things. And this handbook that will be out soon is not supposed to be read from front to back, I should say. But if you see something in these headings and you think, I'm about to be hiring someone, or I'd like to look at our communications specifically, then there is somewhere that you can go and immediately have some kind of grounding in what you can do yourself. Also, a slightly blurry picture of me there. We have an inclusion interview series, and so big thanks to Elia and On the Move for doing some of these interviews as well. You'll find those on the Shift website, and we have one more. The last in the series is coming this Friday, I hope, and they're on different topics. So the one this Friday will be about graphic design. We have been talking with different organizations on how they have been improving their work on diversity and inclusion, and looking at sort of general governance issues and this sort of thing. So if you want to have a listen, go to the Shift website. We've held a couple of multiplier events as well. That's some more Shift terminology for you. So we've had a couple more events where we've been sharing the message on this. That is a corona-friendly room in Ljubljana this summer. It wasn't that nobody wanted to come. And on this occasion, we looked at 2 topics, environmental sustainability and inclusion. And we had a second presenter tailoring the message even closer to the choral sector, because we're the European Choral Association. And in that presentation that I gave on that occasion, I'm just going to go through some of the kind of main points that I raised about, which I think are relevant to all sorts of people in all sorts of different parts of the cultural sector and operating in different kind of functions. And these were really creating opportunities, like recognizing your own power, your own capacity to actually create change for other people, and in all sorts of different ways, whether it is inviting them to speak, raising the voices of the marginalized. There are all sorts of things that if you just think about it at each point that you're doing a new topic or a new policy, a new process, that you can actually create an opportunity to improve diversity and inclusion. The second is making your space inclusive, which is all about not having a space necessarily where everybody is really happy all the time. This is not realistic. It's actually having a space where you can manage conflict. It's a space where people feel safe to raise problems. It's a space where raising a problem doesn't result in a conflagration, where you can actually take an issue, a mistake, a problem, whatever, and use it to improve your work. And the third one is on listening, but I'll speak a bit more about that in a bit. And then there were these 3 points to bear in mind while you're doing it: being flexible, not thinking that you're going to have a one-size-fits-all approach, like Fabrice was saying earlier, to everything. This is going to need to be adapted to different situations and to different people. Secondly, being compassionate, because if you're trying to bring in a change, then you might face quite a lot of resistance. You might find people are at a different stage in their journey in the inclusion process. So having compassion for them at the same time is very important. And being vulnerable, being able to own up to your mistakes, having that inclusive space, the safe environment, because when you have psychological safety, that you can admit to your mistakes, this spreads. This creates a more inclusive space. So I wanted very, very quickly to go through just a few of the key definitions, and gives you an idea of what we were looking at when we're talking about the topic. Diversity. Diversity is a quality of groups. It doesn't really mean more than that. It just means that within a group there are people of different backgrounds, people with different characteristics, and that is all it means. So the next point is equality versus equity. And you may have seen a cartoon of this before. Equality, where you give everybody the same thing, whereas you have equity, where you give people what they need. And one person may have had more opportunities, more privilege, more experiences in the past. They might not actually need as much support in one way or another in order to, like, for instance, to get a job in your organization. So thinking about equity as opposed to equality. Then inclusion. Inclusion is the kind of companion of diversity. Inclusion is where people from different backgrounds and with different characteristics are valued within a space, and they are able to contribute, and they are able to participate in decision making when they are not just present, but able to contribute and participate. And finally, my artistic skills, as you will see, are absolutely fantastic. Belonging. Belonging is the personal feeling. In an inclusive space, someone may feel that they belong, that they can be authentic, that they are valued for who they are. And so this is a really important point as well. And I just wanted to quickly go through 3 main takeaways. I can be super quick on this. I might be running out of time, I'm not sure. But each organization, each person really must make their own journey with this. This is not a one-size-fits-all situation at all. We're each going to be starting in our own place, in our own situations, with the specificities of our own sectors. Different actions may be possible in different places. There'll be different people in different places. There really isn't a single way to go, and you're going to have to find your own one. But I hope that with the resources that we've created, it at least gives you a starting point. It gives you some ideas, or maybe this doesn't work where you are, but maybe something, if you just pivot to the idea of it, maybe this would work instead. What creativity can you bring to this, in fact? So we've developed the handbook, but you determine your own path. And one thing that can help you in this is the force field, which I invite you to type into Google and learn more about if you don't know it, which is an excellent tool for making change. And we actually used it in our membership weekend recently in Lyon. And in fact, it was used in my inclusion group, and it was a way that one of our members could create a plan to go forward, which she then took away with her and is going to implement, where you look at what the changes that you want to make, you look at what forces are supporting that change, what forces are against it, and then look how you can strengthen the forces for and weaken the forces against. So do check out that tool. It is really useful and excellent for inclusion issues. Secondly, we don't know as much as we think we do. So I like this quote: the main problem is that we think we understand the minds of others and even our own mind better than we actually do. My suggestion to you for this is improving your communication skills. And this is where my frequent advert comes in. I'm already responsible for the selling of several copies of this book. Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg is a fantastic method of communication. And when I say communication, I mean both talking and listening. I told you I'd come back to listening. Listening with empathy, so that you're actually developing the ideas and the conversation and making someone feel heard. It's a great way to be able to deal with uncomfortable issues, truths that you don't necessarily want to hear when someone comes with a complaint, and this can really help you manage it. It's absolutely superb. It is it's useful at personal level, professional level. It's been used in international conflict resolution. Do go buy that book. That's probably my last advert for it, but I recommend it. Number 3, there's a lot of work to do. You already saw all of the chapters that were available to you in there. And well, that resource isn't going anywhere. So I recommend to you to start small, do it right, not fast. You can really breed goodwill by doing the right thing rather than rushing into everything and disappointing people at best. And there are 3 things I'd like you to consider in this. Firstly, people. Who do you need to get on side? Who do you need to listen to? If you're doing something for people from a marginalized group, have you actually talked to them first and asked if that's what they want? Maybe getting more of your target group involved in the beginning of the process and throughout the process would be a really important thing. And having someone who is accountable for these actions within your organization, or having a group of people, someone from your team, your board, your members. There are many people questions, but getting your people lined up is a great start. Secondly, priorities. As I said, you can't do everything at once, so do make sure that you are choosing a number of priority actions and choosing it in a kind of participatory governance way. There are a lot of references to the cultural leadership theme in our handbook as well. And trying to do really good work on those few priorities. And then thirdly, performance, monitoring your performance, monitoring how how the process is going once you've started putting something into action, getting feedback, collecting data to the extent that you are able to within the laws of your country. Some countries will allow a lot more than others. The Arts Council in England demands a lot of data collection that would be illegal in France, for example. And very last slide, and then I promise I'll stop. This is a resource that I found after doing the annotated bibliography. So I'm sorry it's not in there, but I do recommend you go and look at it. It's called the Guide to Allyship. It is a short and very, very clear guide. You see the web link down the bottom there, but you can just type Guide to Allyship into Google. And I think the points that it raises on how to be an ally are really worth taking into consideration in all of our work, and how, particularly for points 2 and 3 there, maybe how we can transfer the benefits of our work to those who lack it, how we can use our work to amplify the voices of the oppressed rather than speaking for them. And I think that there's a long road to go. There's a big learning curve, but I will leave it at that because I think I already spoke a long time. And do check out the Shift website where all resources will be available. Thank you.